What's up guys, MrSpwn here and welcome to video number 2 in the Mastering Hunt Showdown series where I give you one tip each and every video that you can take into the bayou, master, and become a hunt god. That's right. Now if you guys missed the previous video, if you take a gander up in the corner up there, you're gonna see that boxy thing come out. Click it. There's going to be a link in there for you for the previous video. And I do recommend you guys watch the videos in order because each video is going to be building off of each other to, give you tips, give you advice, all the wonderful things that you need to become a legend. Now, in the previous video, we talked about confidence and how important confidence is in improving your overall game and even other aspects of your life. That's because confidence is the foundational building block for basically everything. If you go into situations and hunt and you lack the confidence and you're doubting yourself, you're already setting yourself up for a loss. So it is important to have confidence in yourself. But now that you've been practicing confidence for a little while, well, what's next, right? What's the next step, the next thing to master? Well, this next thing I have for you to master, again, is not specifically hunt related and not even necessarily gaming related. It can be related to other aspects of life as well. That is right. Spawn's just all about them life tips, baby. So without further ado, in today's Mastering Hunt Showdown video, we're going to be talking about that muscle memory. So most of us pretty much have a decent understanding of what muscle memory is, but in case you don't, according to Wikipedia, muscle memory is a form of procedural memory that involves consolidating a specific motor task into memory through repetition. Basically, at the end of the day, it just means you're developing specific skills, behaviors, actions, whatever, through repetition in order to lower the amount of time it takes for you to perform that action so much to the point where it feels second nature and you no longer have to think about it. Now, a fantastic example of muscle memory is a musician who plays the guitar. Basically, a great guitarist has learned on what fret, on what string, or what notes. They've learned scale patterns, they've learned chord shapes, where to place chord shapes on the neck, they've learned right hand technique, and they've committed all of that to muscle memory so that when they come to play the guitar in front of a massive audience, it seems so seamless and so effortless, and they make it seem so damn easy. Now, it should be no mystery as to why muscle memory is important. The faster you're able to perform specific actions, the lower amount of time needed in order to process those actions, which means, somebody who hasn't developed the same muscle memories as you can't really compete on the same level. Now, when it comes to a game like Hunt Showdown, I've classified muscle memory into two groups. The first one is actually one we're not going to be covering in this video. That's because we're going to be doing a video kind of later on about it, and that's aiming. And that kind of applies to any first-person shooter style game. Aiming is a huge component in developing the necessary muscle memories in order to land those flick shots, those quick scopes, the bullet lead times, like all that kind of stuff. I categorize under the category of aiming. Categorize under the category of aiming. I just said that. Yep. We're going with it. We're going with it. Now, the second category that we actually will be talking about in this video is your key bindings. When it comes to gaming, it's no secret that learning the key bindings is essential. After all, if you have no clue what key performs what action, you're going to be slow, you're going to be lost, and you're gonna get dominated. Now, when it comes to Hunt Showdown, one example of muscle memory to develop that will actually allow you to outcompete, especially in very high intense, very quick situations, learning your key bindings for your tools and consumable swaps is going to be extremely significant. This is because of an aspect not a lot of people know. In Hunt Showdown, we use your scroll wheel to go to different tools. There's actually a small delay between when you land on the item with the scroll wheel and when you actually switch to that item. However, when you press the key binding to switch to that item, the switch happens immediately. Now, this can be easily demonstrated by taking your scroll wheel and doing two different scenarios with it. First scenario, scroll to your other weapon or to a tool, and then scroll back to your original weapon, and you'll notice you don't swap. However, if you use the key bindings, you'll notice no matter what, you swap. The other way to show this is to use the scroll wheel to swap to an item, then use the key binding to swap to the item, and see the difference it takes between pressing the key to swap to the item and highlighting it on the scroll wheel and when that switch occurs. But like I said, that's just one example of how learning proper muscle memory with your key bindings can give you an advantage in a game like Hunt Showdown. Now, I could sit here and give you example after example of why having proper muscle memory development and your key bindings can give you the upper hand in a lot of situations in Hunt Showdown. However, I think it's pretty obvious that it does, and I think most of you can start drawing those conclusions for yourself. I would actually rather spend some time giving you guys some advice on how you can start developing proper muscle memory in your key bindings. Now, advice number one is something where I always thought it was really obvious, but apparently for some people it's not, and that's okay if it wasn't obvious to you. I don't mean this offensively, but customize your key bindings. Just because a game has default key bindings does not mean that's the key bindings that you have to use. Now, I personally like to always customize my key bindings to things that make the most sense to me. I may have developed other habits from previous games that I have a lot of hours in, and by changing the default key bindings to things that make sense from my previous experience, it helps me learn the new game a lot faster and also maintains the muscle memory that I've already developed from the previous game. Now, a really good example of that type of crossover is in some games your action key might be E, and in some games your action key might be F by default. Now, every game I've always played, I've always swapped the action key to F because that's what I've developed through muscle memory as the action key. And by doing that, each and every game where there is some kind of action that you can take, I know to press F for that action, and I don't have to sit there and think about what I'm doing or relearn new key bindings. So, like I said, advice number one, customize your key bindings to things that make the most sense for you, things that fit maybe your hand size, because there might be some things you might not be able to reach with your fingers. And by making those little tweaks, you'll be able to find that you can set up some key bindings that kind of make the most sense for you. Now, for advice number two, after you've set up your custom key bindings, focus on developing habits and muscle memory for one key binding at a time. Now, this was something that I did personally when I was learning Hunt. It's also something that you still see me do when I'm streaming live or sometimes in my YouTube videos. When you guys are watching me and you see when I'm switching between my weapons and melee fast back and forth, I'm not just doing that out of boredom. I'm really doing that to solidify that muscle memory of switching between my weapon and melee. Because it's no secret in Hunt Showdown, you're switching between your melee to handle mobs, back to your gun, back to your melee, all the time. So that's why that was one of the first muscle memories I developed, and it's also one of the muscle memories that I still continue to ingrain in my mind, and you guys see me do that a lot on stream, especially when I'm waiting for a match to start. And you can do this with all of your key bindings. You can practice switching from, a med kit to your melee, to your weapon, to a vitality shot, back to your weapon, to a nade. You guys get the point. So like I've said, develop one muscle memory at a time. This kind of leads into the next bit of advice a little bit, and that is to always put your stuff on the same slots. Now, personally for me, my tools always go in the order of medkit, knuckles, utility tool like a flare gun, and either knife or derringer. And I always try to maintain that, so even if I prestiged and I may not have unlocked the knuckles yet, I usually try to keep that slot empty and put my knife at the end slot where I normally put it. That way it's ingrained and that muscle memory is there. That slot number 4 is always my knuckles. Now when it comes to my consumables, it's always my vitality shots in the first slots and then my nades in the following slots. The reason I do this is because then I can develop muscle memory of, when I need to switch to my med kit, bam, that's 3. When I need to switch to my knuckles, bam, that's 4. Right? When I need to switch to the flare gun, bam, that's 5. Now the last bit of advice I have for you on developing that muscle memory, utilize training mode. Now when it comes to practicing a lot of other aspects of the game, I don't recommend training mode. I actually recommend using quick play. But in training mode, you can actually build up a loadout, put things in the slots how you want them, and go into training mode and practice switching between everything and really just kind of ingrain the muscle memory of where your key bindings are, how far you need to reach with whatever finger to hit whatever number to switch to whatever tool or consumable, all that good, fantastic, wonderful stuff. If you guys ever have any questions on how you can continue to improve your hunt game, including questions on how to better develop muscle memory, I am streaming every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday over on Twitch. I have a link for you guys down in the description below. Feel free to hop into chat, ask any questions you want. I'm always happy to help, and I have also a wonderful community that's in the live stream that's always willing to answer your guys' question as well. So that's going to do it for this video. I know this and the previous video have been kind of high level and generic. That's because the goal of these first initial videos is to build a very solid foundation to build from. It's like if you build a house without building the foundation first, the house is likely to crumble. So that's what we're focusing on here. And if you're an intermediate player and this is stuff you already know, I'm going to be making more detailed videos on some of more advanced concepts and more specific scenarios in the future. Like I said, right now we're just trying to build a foundation and help newer players come in and understand kind of what to focus on first. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful and informative. And, you know, make sure to drop that like, leave that comment, subscribe, all that stuff. You guys know the drill. But anyhow, hopefully you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. All right. Bye.